Bubbles. This is very strange. Should I do a live stream with bubbles? Dance party? Oh my gosh. This is amazing. Dream. I want to be in a dance party. Whoa! Check this out. Let's go back to bubbles. Alright, so we're on YouTube because for some reason my Prism isn't working, what I normally do, and it's quite a shame, but we're just gonna do what we have on YouTube. Can you guys share the YouTube link? You know what it is. Jinx. It's YouTube. YouTube has been the problem. So we're not going to have this on Periscope. We're not going to have it on Twitch, but we're going to have it on YouTube. Okay. I actually think that YouTube is a problem. And the reason for that is because I said shithole. So, are we live? Okay. The reason why this didn't work is because I said Baltimore is a shithole. You can't say the word shithole on YouTube. Here's what happened. Oh, you know what? Let's make sure we're also on Anchor. Okay, we're on Anchor. It's the podcasting app that sends us to a bunch of different podcasting platforms, Spotify, and Apple and Google and a bunch of stuff. So, here's what happened when I kept trying to go live. YouTube ended the streams because I said the word shithole. That caused all my streams to end. That caused all my streams to end. So my Prism kept. Alright. Okay. It feels good to know what the problem is and to be able to fix it. Wouldn't it be great if we were able to fix all the problems in this country, including Baltimore? Hey, Steph, I saw your text. Thank you. You know, it is that word. It was that word that it kept shutting down. And I didn't even think about it. Because I was like, is this hacked? It would, I have perfect internet, perfect speed, and I would go live. I would go live, and then it would just shut down. And it would show that I have perfect speed, perfect connection, because I've been having internet problems for so long. I know these bubbles are just weird. Here, let's go back to having a dance party. This is just really addicting. I don't know what this is, but it seems nice. It's like a dream. Okay, so I knew it wasn't my connection like it normally is. So I knew it had to be something, someone is stopping it. And it was YouTube. YouTube is actively shutting down my live streams. And it's because of this word This time when I used the word, I put a star in it. So it's not shithole, it's sh*thole, and that made the difference. Candace Owens just tweeted, "Please retweet. I see that I Am Cardi B is politically advocating for Bernie Sanders with claims that Trump is bad. I would like to publicly offer $250,000 to a political campaign of her choosing if she will publicly debate her stance with either myself or any black conservative I choose." Well, obviously she won't do it because Cardi B has money and Cardi B can't debate. She's especially not going to debate Candace Owens or any other black conservative. Cardi B is a rapper. I don't know why her voice matters in this. I like Cardi B's celebrity stuff, some of her celebrity stuff, but she's a rapper and does not really seem to be involved in politics in any meaningful way. So, yeah. She's obviously not going to take it, and they're obviously going to be like, "Oh, look, she didn't take it." Well, obviously she wasn't going to take it. She has money. She doesn't need to debate anybody. She's still going to have her money. Like, Cardi B, I was actually thinking about Cardi B today because Cardi B bought her mom, like, an insane mansion. Her mom, okay? For herself, forget about it. This woman, let's see how much Cardi B's net worth is. Cardi B net worth. Let's see. Oh, wow. It's not even so much. It's over $8 million. So how does she spend so much? Her net worth is currently over $8 million. Oh, I keep getting a call from my bank. I called them 2 hours ago with a callback number, and now, 2 hours later, in the middle of my live stream, they keep calling me back. It's the most annoying thing ever. 2 hours later, stupid bank. Anyway. Yeah. Cardi B, did this whole, "Hey, Steph, I gave you a shout out earlier. Thanks for your text." It was the word shit. YouTube is so weird. YouTube is like your mom, your grandma, where, you can't cuss. Not only can you not cuss on YouTube, you can't say the word R-A-P-E. I can't even say it. You can't, I already said the word S-H-I-T earlier, but you can't say S-H-I-T. You can't say R-A-P-E. All the grandmas are celebrating, but this is so dumb. I probably can't even say D-U-M-B. You can't say anything because they'll just shut down your live stream. And another reason why Steph says she didn't get the notification when it went live a second time. I went live 3 times. Each time the thing is that the more live streams you do, the less people are going to see it because, or some people just shut off their notifications. People don't see it the second and third time. So it's really a shame when it doesn't work the first time. We're not on Periscope, so that means a lot of people won't be seeing the live stream tonight, which is also a shame, but it's fine because our YouTube community is the only one that really matters. It's the only one that's going to stick around, and for now at least, because that's the one that we're investing in. And yeah, so we're fine tonight. Just a little thing before we get to Baltimore. My bank, I was calling my bank because I'm trying to increase my credit limit for my bank. I've been trying to do it with all my credit cards, increasing my credit limit and opening new cards, adding more more credit limits, whatever, has really helped me increase my credit score. A couple years ago, less than 2 years ago, I was in a lot of debt. I had a lot of trouble with my finances. I wasn't saving any money, and I had a really low credit score. In less than 2 years, I was able to bump it up to over 200 points. And I don't have like an insanely high credit score. It's just that I had an insanely low credit score back then. But adding credit cards, whatever I can get, increasing my credit, paying everything off, like right away when I use it, saving a lot of money, like saving every penny I can get, decreasing my expenses, all this stuff really helped me to increase my credit limit. Also, people don't like to take out student loans because they're worried that it's, we don't want to be in debt, whatever. But taking out student loans can actually be pretty good for your credit score. And you're going to hate it that I say this, and everyone's going to be like, no, why are you saying take out student loans? I mean, I'm not saying take out student loans for the heck of it, but if you're a student, your student loans, paying back your student loans can be a huge bump. If you've got student loans and you're on a payment plan, try and pay off as quickly as possible. Your credit score is going to soar, and it's going to be much easier for you to go higher than other people. Felix says invest. Don't just settle for low interest savings accounts. I agree with that. I'm like really ignorant when it comes to investing, so I've just been asking my friends. I have a lot of friends who are really good with their finances, asking them what they do, what they invest in, what they choose to invest in, how they spend their money, and I've been learning a lot, so that's pretty good. Anyway, going back to Cardi B and her money, if this bank tries to call me again in the middle of my live stream, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to tell them I'm going to shut down my account. Kidding. But, so Bernie Sanders agrees, like a lot of people agree, that Baltimore is a shthole. And Donald Trump saying it doesn't make it less the case. Just because Donald Trump is saying that Baltimore is an shthole and it's rodent infested doesn't make it not true. And all these people are like, whoa, racist. How could you say the truth about Baltimore? You're a racist. And it's kind of sad. Like, it's kind of sad that people are willing to totally overlook. Oh my God. This bank will not stop calling me. It's so freaking annoying. It's really sad that Baltimore that the country is willing to overlook such a major problem just because Donald Trump said it. Donald Trump addressed it. And everyone should be addressing this problem because Baltimore is... The thing about Baltimore is that, like, people will be like, oh, yeah, I've been to Baltimore. It was so nice. And I went to this place and that coffee shop and that beautiful place. And I hung out at the harbor. And it's so great. I love Baltimore. Good morning, Baltimore. And so everyone's got, like, such great things to say. But the problem is that those places are just so separate from the other part of Baltimore, which nobody goes into. Nobody who's all la-di-da about Baltimore dares step into. And that's the parts of Baltimore that are very dangerous. You could be on like one block of Baltimore that's like totally fine and just like hipster college students, whatever. And then like a block or 2 blocks to the other side, to the west or to the east, you're in a war zone. People are actually shooting each other daily. There are stabbings, people are getting mugged. women are getting raped, and that's just like maybe a block or 2 blocks away. But because you're in the nice part of Baltimore, you don't see that. It's like, I mean, they're actually, LA is kind of like that too, by the way. People are like, oh, LA is so beautiful. LA, oh, everyone in LA is rich. Beverly Hills, whoa. The problem is, LA is beautiful because you don't dare step into the dangerous parts. Nobody dares step into the dangerous parts. You're basically directed to only the safe parts of LA. The dangerous parts you don't go into because nobody goes there. No one's building their businesses there, or, like, your friends aren't going to be there. The places where the slumlords are like, why am I saying that? The places where the drug lords are king, and their gangs and all that stuff. Those places, even the police won't step in those places. There are parts of LA where the police they step away from. They're afraid of the people who run those towns, who run those areas, which are the drug lords. The people who, they're like different gangs, and I don't know a lot about it. I had a friend in Compton who was like telling me all about her neighborhood. It's like there's someone in charge, like a gang leader, and in different neighborhoods they have like territories, and there's like one person in charge, and everybody else is subservient to that one person, and even the police is, and they've got like sort of understandings with law enforcement. Law enforcement doesn't step on their toes, so it's like everybody's scared of these people, and people don't realize that. Paul Nye says that's the way Detroit is too. No first responders will go, not cops or firefighters. Felix says, have you seen the movie Mulholland Drive? It's a trippy and dark depiction of LA. I haven't seen it, but I should, because I grew up in LA. My whole life was in LA until I was 23, so that would be pretty interesting for me. Diacritical says there was a huge gang fight at the Inner Harbor last time I was there last summer in Baltimore. So Jesus says Beverly Hills, Malibu, OC is beautiful only because they're super rich. I lived in Culver City, and even there I'm glad I left, close to Inglewood. Yeah, even Culver City. You know what? Even Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills is beautiful, and Beverly Hills police is quick, and they're great. They're very quick, and you do get your taxes worth with Beverly Hills police. But Beverly Hills is a #1 target for criminals, for burglars, and people who are experts at and highly skilled armed robbers. They come with like U-Hauls. They'll clean out your house within minutes, and they'll do it without anyone knowing. They'll hack into your systems. They'll hack into your cameras. They know what they're doing, and it's happened to so many people that I know. It's happened to people on my family street, our friends, family friends. It happens on some. Now I'm getting automated calls from my bank. So if you keep seeing my screen just going black for a second, that's what it is. So, what was I saying? Yeah. Beverly Hills is a #1 target for people who are like armed robbers. And because Beverly Hills isn't gated, Bel Air and other rich communities are gated. Beverly Hills, unless your individual mansion or your house has a gate around it, it's not necessarily safer, and you can't go out past like 9 or 10 p.m. and feel safe. You can't. Actually, I used to bike through Beverly Hills, you know, growing up. I loved biking, and it was like my thing because I'm always restless and I need to get out my energy. So I used to bike every night for like 2 hours, and I would go through Beverly Hills to Westwood, and then I'd come back, and I would get stopped by the cops because it would be like, you know, around 9 or 10 p.m. The cops would stop me in Beverly Hills, and they would be like, you can't be out this late. And I'd say, why? It's only 9 or 10. I mean, 9. I remember it being before 10. And they would say, you know, it's not safe. There have been multiple muggings here recently, and it could happen to you. You're a girl. I mean, it's happened to guys, especially older men, because people are looking for their money. It could happen to you. You're a young girl. People might want something else. And it's crazy, but I don't think anywhere in LA is safe unless it's like a gated, bulletproof community. Oliver says, I think I just had an acid flashback when you raise your hand there. Something's going on with your camera. Jesus says, my mom got mugged in Culver City twice. My cousin got stabbed. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's awful. Diacritical says it's the calls. Yeah, you know, I called my bank to increase my credit score, stupidly, thinking that they'd call me back. This is 2 hours ago, and they call me back 2 hours later. It's just so annoying when they do that. They call me 2 hours later, and I'm in the middle of my live stream, and it's like an automated system, so it keeps calling me. And anyway, LA is not safe. I don't care how expensive your neighborhood is, unless it's gated, and you've got a gate around everything, and it's bulletproof, and your system is hack-proof, and you've got a security guard, and whatever, LA isn't safe. Unless you can't be middle class in LA. You can't be like, you know, making it. You have to be wealthy. You have to be wealthy enough to afford, you know, like a high-end security system, bodyguards, security guards, and I know people like that. I have a cousin who's got a chauffeur, and he's got security guards and everything. He lives in a gated community. If you live like that, then LA is safe. If you don't, then no, LA is not safe. LA is good for two people. The upper class, the upper class, and the lower class. If you're middle class, if you're like working and trying to make it, and you're living like a normal life, and you know, you work for a living, you got a job, you know, if you're like lower to upper middle class, LA is not worth it to me. If you're not like so poor that the welfare system is like, you know, better for you than anything else, and you're not so rich that your resources can save you from the dangers of the city, then to me, it's not worth it. And that's what I think of when I think of Baltimore. Baltimore, when I think of the safety, you know, that you can be in one part of the city and then just be like a few blocks over, and you're suddenly in just like a war zone. That's what I think of. But in terms of economically, I mean, LA has way more rich people. LA has way more beautiful places, in my opinion, that have a lot more money. So I guess in that sense we can't compare. LA's got all the movie stars and all the, I don't know. all the really, really big entrepreneurs, whatever. Baltimore has so much work to be done, like in all areas. But to say that Baltimore is not an SHIT hole, to say that Baltimore is like not disgusting, doesn't have rats, is not rat infested, that is a total lie. And the funny thing, by the way, is I was just in Charleston over the weekend. I was looking at houses, and because my friend Daniel Bostic is a real estate agent, and so he knows a lot about the housing market. We were looking at houses, and I was shocked at how cheap the houses in Charleston are. So cheap. The cost of living is insanely lower. So you would think that if LA and a place like LA or Baltimore, the cost of living is so much higher. I mean, LA is infinitely higher than Baltimore. DC too. DC, the cost of living is so high. By the way, DC crime rate is insane. DC crime rate, I believe it was like 146 people in just 2019. Just 2019 so far, 146 people. That's insane. It's been like, what, 6 months, 7 months? Murdered. And I'm not even talking about like stabbed or shot. I'm talking about just murdered. And this is an expensive, beautiful city. Los Angeles is so expensive to live in. Like, you can't buy a house. You can't buy like a decent house for anything. You would expect that a very rich city with high living standards, high expenses, everything would be a safer city, right? I was expecting Charleston to be a little bit of an SHIT hole because it's cheaper. And I didn't realize how much cheaper. When I was there visiting my friend Daniel, I was like, wow, it is so freaking cheap. It's so cheap. It's like you can be dirt poor in one of these other cities, but living like a beautiful life in Charleston. And someone is saying, come to Oklahoma. Cost of living is nothing. I can imagine if Charleston was that cheap. I can't imagine what what's like in Oklahoma or some other like smaller towns, because Charleston is a legitimate kind of like a decent sized city. So you would expect that a smaller town, and this is how I grew up thinking, because I grew up only in big cities. I lived in LA. I kind of lived in Jerusalem for like under a year. And I lived in New York City for a little bit, a couple months. Then Washington, D.C. All of these cities are insanely expensive to live in. I always thought to myself, wow, I live in such an expensive city. My whole life I grew up in expensive cities, big cities. Wow, I live in such an expensive city and it's so unsafe. I can't imagine what it would be like to go and live. Someone is telling me that I could be like Owen Benjamin and trash talk Jews for a living. Dude, I literally just told you that I lived in Jerusalem for a year. Anyway, and I'm Jewish, by the way. So, so what I was saying was, I always thought that it would be a lot less safe to be in those cheaper areas, because wow, in the cheaper parts of LA, it's like a war zone. So if I go somewhere else that is cheaper, it must be like, living in real poverty. Charleston was not only cheap and beautiful living and just all the resources there, it was safe. It was so safe. It was like the safest neighborhood that I had ever been to in the United States, because I haven't been to a lot of, I need to spend more time in like middle America. That's the truth. South Haven, Michigan was pretty safe, but also that's not really like a city. So I can't really count that. But I haven't really spent time in small cities in LA. I mean, in the United States. when I really should. You know, like I've been to all the big cities, Miami, San Francisco, Philly. I haven't spent time in a smaller town. And so it was fascinating for me to learn how much safer it was in Charleston. And it was like it was like living in the most expensive part of LA in a gated community. That's what it was like. Like, you people who live in Charleston or other small, I mean, I don't know how it's like in other small towns, but you people who live in Charleston, you're living the kind of lifestyle that only the richest upper class people of LA live, because it's so unsafe in those cities. And it's unfortunate. Like, I mean, I don't even know how I could go back to living in LA like that. And I'm not going to stay in DC for the long term. I mean, I'm here, my friends are here, and it's exciting, but you can't. When you see how much better your living quality can get somewhere else, the taxes are insanely lower. It's very entrepreneurial. You know, a lot of people are going to Charleston and starting their small businesses. It's a lot cheaper, great for young people who are just starting off. When you see that, like, why would you want to live in your big city? Oliver says, I hear Baltimore is pretty great. You can hop on over there. I hope you're joking. So Johnny says, is Charleston the next Austin, Texas? You know, I heard Austin, Texas is like that too. I liked Charleston. I haven't really been to Texas. Like, I spent a little bit of time in Dallas, but that's it. I didn't really spend a lot of time in the rest of Texas. And to be honest, I wasn't like really impressed by Dallas. It was just like a lot of residential stuff. And it was just like all plain. I don't know. And just, you know, the best part of Dallas was that I got a manicure and pedicure for really cheap, like a fraction of the cost of what I would get somewhere else. So great. But I don't know. I don't know if I would go and live in Dallas. So let's see some stats, since we love stats. A Baltimore school police survey. According to a survey in the Baltimore Sun, students in Baltimore public schools who were surveyed as part of this Baltimore City Public School survey. Students in Baltimore public schools reported that they felt their school police doesn't understand them or their lives. They also said that they felt that the school police was too aggressive with students. And the police officers in general are too aggressive and violent. That's what they said. But a higher percent, so that was like, I think 56% or something of students who said that. 70% of students said, nonetheless, the police officers are making them feel more safer. And I think that's like a pretty big, it's very interesting to me because two things can be true. Police officers in Baltimore can be more aggressive than police officers anywhere else, but they can also make people feel safer than they do anywhere else. Because in a place like a war zone, of course, you want your police officers to be more aggressive than a place like, you know, that is not a war zone, a calm place without any, without a lot of crime. Why would you want a soft, like, why would you want a soft police officer in a place like Baltimore? A soft police officer that isn't going to jump on crime, isn't going to be aggressive? Why would you want that in Baltimore or in Detroit or St. Louis or some other city with high crime rates? Oliver D says Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago. Those are my top 3 American cities. Okay, now I know you're trolling. Because I keep seeing your comments and I'm just like totally falling for them. Okay. I actually like trolls. They're like, I like certain trolls. There are some trolls who just like, they're not like some trolls, like this person for instance, they'll be like really ironic and they'll say everything like the opposite of what's true. But that's like interesting. Some trolls are so dumb. Like they'll just be like beep beep boop boop and they'll just do it to annoy you like a little kid. And it doesn't even make anything interesting. It's just like you're just a distraction. You're just like a fly. So someone is telling me that's sarcasm. I know it's sarcasm. Anyway, the bottom line is don't go live in Baltimore or LA. Everybody agrees that Baltimore is an shit hole. My friends, a group of my friends actually went to Baltimore last night, and they went to Baltimore. They went in some of like the more dangerous areas to go and like interview people, what they think. I don't know why they went so late, but they went around and interviewed people. They almost were held at gunpoint. From what I heard from them, they said that they were going around filming and interviewing people on what they felt about Baltimore, and everybody that they interviewed, an overwhelming amount of people that they interviewed, Obama supporters, people who didn't like Trump, people who are not conservative or Republican in any way, they all agreed with Trump's statement about Baltimore. They all, when they were asked specifically, do you agree with Trump that Baltimore is just disgusting and rodent infested and town with so much crime? They said yes. They said people are calling it a murder capital. That's what Baltimore is becoming known as. They said there's constantly stabbings. It's so common to be like walking around and be mugged or raped. If you're a woman, women have it the worst. I was in a courthouse a couple weeks ago, just here in DC, and they take a lot of cases from like, around the DC area, like the DC metro area, and it was all women who. Women were all the victims. They were victims of like their cousin or their neighbor or their boyfriend or this or that. Just all kinds of violence. The women are just at the bottom of it. They're getting everything. They're getting all the they're like the real victims of everything. And the city of Baltimore is getting so much money that there's absolutely no excuse for that. And for people to take the side of not the people of Baltimore, but the city of Baltimore, they took, according to the Washington Free Beacon, the city of Baltimore received only one of their zip codes received a total of $837,995,866 in just one of their zip codes funding. taxpayer money to one of the zip codes in Baltimore, just one of them, $837,955,866. Don't you think that could have helped with something? Maybe like a little bit? Of this amount, $467.1 million went to education, $206.1 million to the environment, $24 million to family, $16.1 million to infrastructure, $15.2 million to transportation, $11.9 million to housing, and $3.1 million to job training. Another zip code received $425 million, $170,937, and a bunch of the other zip codes got around the same much. So, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars going into like every zip code in Baltimore. Shouldn't this help? I mean, shouldn't this be enough? You would think that it would help. And the thing is that when people say Trump is wrong and Baltimore is not disgusting, Baltimore is not an shit hole, the city of Baltimore is great, living in Baltimore is great. When people say that, they're not defending the people of Baltimore. They're defending the mayor of Baltimore and the leaders, the Baltimore leaders who have been eating up all this money. I mean, if you're not keeping this money for yourself, if you're not consuming it for your little games, at least you're just really bad at allocating it to the right places. You're just really bad at allocating the resources. You're just awful at money. So either you're just evil, you're evil scum, or you're incompetent. Either way, none of these people deserve to be defended. When a city like that is doing awful and they're receiving so much money, they don't need to be defended. The leaders, the Baltimore leaders, don't need to be defended. Just because Trump said it. It's so insane. A recently resurfaced video shows, and this is all right. Former Mayor Catherine Pugh. A former Mayor Catherine Pugh is seeing, all right. Former Mayor Catherine Pugh. There's a tweet. Steve Guest tweeted yesterday showing former Mayor Catherine Pugh saying, walking around Baltimore and being horrified at what the city has become. Let's see what she says. I actually have never watched this before, so let's see what she's saying.
About a year ago, city leaders identified some of the city's most violent neighborhoods.
I don't know if you guys can hear this.
We should just take all this down to target under Baltimore's Violence Reduction Initiative.
Oh, Jesus.
Just last week, we went with Mayor Pugh. She toured an East Baltimore neighborhood.
It's a new one. I've been out here 54 years. It's a new one.
Baltimore's Violence Reduction Initiative is about taking steps to rid communities of the cornerstones that contribute to crime.
Oh, my God. You can smell the dead animals.
Blocks of dilapidated buildings help to hide the addiction that's crippled.
So Mayor Pugh, Catherine Pugh, she's walking around Baltimore. She comes back. When was she mayor? Catherine Pugh, Baltimore. She was mayor until recently. Wow. So I guess she's taking a tour around Baltimore, and she's like, oh my gosh. What an awful, disgusting... the mayor of Baltimore, is describing her city as rodent infested. And all these people are like, oh no, Trump. Oh no, you can't say that. She is describing her own city as rodent infested. The former mayor of Baltimore, who actually was mayor up until this year. She's describing her city as she goes, whoa, you can smell the rats. You can smell the dead animals. What the hell? We should just take all this shit down. I'm just quoting her. She says, what the hell? We should just take all this shit down. Even Trump didn't say that. Imagine if Trump said that. Trump calling Baltimore rodent infested. He's not wrong. Even the people of Baltimore agree. Everybody would agree. Only the stupid people and the people siding with the corrupt Baltimore leadership who's still taking this money and not using it in any way to improve the city. Only those people are speaking otherwise. And the people who are so dumb that just as a reflex to anything Trump says, they're willing to defend rodent-infested, disgusting Baltimore conditions just to, like, prove something against Trump. It's so dumb. It's like the dumbest thing ever. Anyway, it's 10:38. Some of you have to go. Let me just, before we go, I'm gonna read Trump's tweets about Baltimore just because it's about this and it feels very relevant. I feel like we should at least hear it. And so we're gonna read some of his tweets. All right, Baltimore. Okay. Elijah. Okay, some of our more recent ones. Donald Trump says Elijah Cummings never even went to the southern border, and then he screams at the very good people who, despite Congress's failure to fix the loopholes in asylum, make it worse. Crossing the way down and the walls being built, even with zero Dem help, borders getting strong. Okay, so he's talking about the southern border. Baltimore's numbers are the worst in the United States on crime and the economy. Billions of dollars have been pumped in over the years, but to no avail. The money was stolen or wasted. Ask Elijah Cummings where it went. He should investigate himself with his own oversight committee. Tell me the lie. Like someone, I mean, anyone tell me the lie in that. I don't. Vincier says, Trump points out the hypocrisy of Senator Elijah Cummings, who was casting disparages towards Trump's progress on the border while ignoring his longtime failures with his own Senate district. Paul Nye, he's 100% right. Jesus, damn. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, someone find me something that is false in here, because I don't see it. Everything that Trump is saying is correct about Baltimore, and he says it. The money that's being sent in there is either being wasted or, like, stolen. There's no way to justify what's going on there, and if you are, then you're just defending Elijah Cummings. You're just playing the anti-Trump reflex game. The Trump what's it called? Trump derangement syndrome. That's all you're doing. You're not even addressing reality. So that's it. And then, you know, Anderson Cooper goes, oh, well, you know, Donald Trump said that Baltimore is disgusting and rat infested. Well, guess what? His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has property in Baltimore. He owns a bunch of property in Baltimore, and it's like, so what? What does that prove? First of all, father and son-in-law, like, why is the father responsible for his son-in-law's investment? Why would the father be responsible for his son's investment even? Like, there's no connection. Oh no, the father thinks that the father-in-law thinks that Baltimore is rat-infested and disgusting, and the son-in-law decided to invest in Baltimore. Why would those two things be mutually exclusive? Second of all, why is investing in Baltimore like a sign that you hate a sign that you think Baltimore is not rat-infested? I mean, people invest in LA, even though LA is a crime city. People invest in all sorts of cities. People invest in Chicago, even though Chicago is one of the murder capitals of the world. In fact, investing in these cities is a good thing. You're bringing in more money, and people say, oh, well, they're slumlords. Oh, so they should take their money out of Baltimore? They should go invest somewhere else? Like, the logic here is stupid. It's like so backwards. Oh, so they should go somewhere else to someone else should take over? Like, it's all just Trump derangement syndrome. There's no real substance to any of these arguments. And anyway, that's all there is to this. Okay. Last but not least, I forgot to say this. I saw a tweet earlier, and it was like this lady she was talking about like housewives, like ladies who women who go to college, and she's like, women who go to college, good night diacritical. Women shouldn't go to college. They should stay home and be good housewives and mothers. Because women who go to college, it does not prepare them to be a good housewife or mother. And it was like the trippiest tweet ever. She's like, so basically, if you're a woman who's going to college, you're like less prepared to be a mom and wife. So women shouldn't do it. But guys should do it, because if guys go to college, apparently it will make them better husbands and better dads. And it's obviously not true. In fact, you know how college guys are? You know how college people are in general. The whole thing, Diacritical says she was funny, really triggered some folks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe she was being sarcastic. Maybe she was joking. Steph, she might be joking. But there are a lot of people who feel that way, and they're just like, oh, like the traditional household, you know, if more women stayed home with their kids, well, and it would be like the olden days. First of all, I grew up with a very traditional household. I think that my parents could have, I think that all parents, like, it's not necessary to have the kind of household that they had a million years ago. We live in the 21st century where we've got all sorts of technology. Childbearing is a lot easier than it was a million years ago. It's still very hard. It's still insane. It's still, women still have it very hard. Men still have it very hard working, and like everything is still hard. Life is hard. But there are so many resources for women now that there weren't a million years ago. You don't have to be like at home 24/7 with your children in order to raise them. You're just going to be home bored. And that's how like a lot of women are. They're just like stay at home. I'm not talking about you over there and you're great. I'm talking about person over there that we don't know. That, because I know a lot of people get so defensive when I talk about this. Being a stay-at-home, being a college mom won't necessarily make you a lesser mom in any way. Going to school, in fact, there are studies that show that college-educated women in a lot of ways, makes for more successful and smarter children. And the reason for that is because you've got a mother who feels strong and is educated and strong and stable. She's not dependent on her kids or her other family members emotionally. She's able to be a rock for her kids instead of being dependent on her children, which in a lot of traditional families where the mom is like totally dependent on the dad. If the dad is great, if you have a great husband that is 100%, but still, you being able to have a college degree or something that makes you feel financially independent, in a lot of cases it can help you. Not necessarily to go and work. You don't have to. I mean, you can still be at home with your kids and do whatever, but the point is that just having some sort of feeling of freedom and independence, you can do what you want, and you can, if you want, you can, like, you know, be at home or not be at home, but the point is that you getting a college degree or going to school or whatever, pursuing a career can be the most liberating thing for a lot of women, and it helps you to not feel dependent on your husband and children in an unhealthy way for a lot of women. And so people who say, like, you know, you're a better mom if you're a stay-at-home mom, or you know, you don't go to college, and you, like, I'd have to disagree. Some people are, but I personally don't see how it's in any way comparable to the olden days when women, like, needed to be home because there's so much work to be done that they wouldn't be able to survive. There's so many things now that make it a lot easier to raise kids and do other things at the same time. Unless you have a million kids like they did in the olden days, which most people don't, so you don't even have an excuse to just be sitting home on your ass all day. Johnny says, I've never met anyone who regretted the experience they gained from college. Jesus says, I would tag my kid, like cats, or those tile apps. So I always know they're safe when they're out. I'm just going to read this comment because it's funny. It's obviously a troll. Oliver says, I didn't think you were a real Jew, but you're starting to sound more Jewish with this independence fetish. I don't know why I found that funny. Paul Nye says, we live in a two-income world. Both parents almost have to work now. That's true. And you know what? And this is a personal preference. You don't have to agree with this. This is just my personal preference. I always wanted to have, like, an equal system where, you know, both parents are more or less contributing to, are more or less working together in household affairs. You know, like, it's not that one parent is so much with the finances and the other parent is just only with the kids. Like, I always liked it when both are kind of working together on all aspects. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's a personal preference. Anyway, we're going to go now. We're finished on Anchor. Have a good night, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're on Anchor, if you are listening to the podcast version, go over to my YouTube channel, subscribe so you can see the video version. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Like this video for sure, and see you all tomorrow night. We are, you know, we might even go later some nights, but I see that this is getting to be a better time. We're doing a little bit later than we did before, and you're all liking it, it seems. So, except my friend in Sweden, which we have to figure something out. Anyway, see you all tomorrow night.